But we are set to start this session. I'm sure many of you have used contributors, the Debian org to, well, I wonder what my friend is up to, or things like that. So let's start the discussion. It will be led by Tiago. So Tiago, please, go ahead.
Hello. I gave a talk about contributors.org.debian 2 days ago, and I didn't have the time or the attitude to browse a little bit over the website, and I was a bit surprised that many DDs, active DDs in the project, didn't know about contributors, which is also a good thing because now we see an opportunity to spread the word and try to make it works better. So my goal here, first, I'd like to share this BoF with people who are much more involved in contributors in the past than I do. There'll be stuff here mainly related to internals, implementation details that I probably won't be able to answer, but I ask for help. But the first thing I'd like to ask is, has anyone not heard about contributors.debian.org before? Everybody's comfortable with the website, knows how it works, and more or less, no? No? Yes? No? No? Raise your hand. Okay. Because I'm trying to adapt the agenda accordingly. Before starting, talking about contributors, I'd like to show that now we have, not now, it's a bit old, but we just moved the bugs from NEM, the episode package, nm.debian.org to contributors.debian.org. So if you want to help with bugs with our to-do list, you can go here and look at the issues. The other thing is we have a nice wiki page now that we compiled during DebConf, information from different wiki pages and put in a single one that has, it's quite organized now. So there you can learn how to create a data source, you can learn how to add yourself to contributors if you are not listed, and you can see the reasons why you are not listed, even if you think you should be listed, among other topics. Also, if you want to help, there is a very old page which is supposed to be our to-do list that people in the past tried to compile a table with the current data source available at the website. But for sure, it's not up to date, so it's another very nice way to help. Now, first, let's navigate a little bit on the website. And you can ask questions at any time. It doesn't need to be in a talk format, okay? So this is the contributors.debian.org website. What you have is a list of people who contribute to Debian in different areas, and a list of teams as well. And we have a date, the beginning of the contribution, and a date of for the last contribution. So the idea of this website is to thank people for their work on Debian, and mostly people who are not package maintainers, because for packages we know that we have other resources to look at and see what kind of packaging contributors they do. One thing that, as I mentioned in the talk, we don't need a process to become a Debian contributor. We just need to contribute to Debian. And we don't add very precise information about the contribution. We just say, okay, this person had posted a mail to a Debian mailing list at this month, and so he contributed to Debian somewhat at this time. Or they reported a bug, or they commented on a bug, or they did a translation. And we have just the record of the first contribution for each area and a record of the more recent contribution. And if you, even a Debian developer is not automatically a Debian contributor. If you are a Debian developer and you don't contribute to Debian, you are not a Debian contributor. Even the DPL is not automatically a Debian contributor. But in this case, you are lucky enough to say that our DPL is, let's see, yes, since 99, probably before that at some other fronts which are not listed in the website, until, so it's fair to say that our DPL is a Debian contributor.
What did you do today?
The good thing is that we don't care about the day exactly. So if he did something in July 2024, it will be listed here. One thing that is a key concept for these websites is that we have the concept of person. So you are not email. You are not a specific GPG key. You are not a login in the wiki page or in Salsa. You are a person, and you can associate all your identities to this person. This is the way to associate. You can claim a username, and then you can associate different emails that you used in the past or other GPG keys you are using or subkeys and login name as well. Any Debian developer can associate other people's identities to their person, their name in the website. If you are not a Debian member, a Debian developer, you can do for yourself, but not for other people. And also, of course, if you are a Debian developer, you first ask the person if they want to be associated before doing that. Another feature, a nice feature here, is that let's go back to the pad. Is that opt-in, opt-out. If you are a Debian developer, you are automatically opted in to the Debian contributors if you did a contribution. If you are not, you have to create an account in South and then claim your username and associate this username to your identities. It was not documented. It was documented recently. So many people didn't know that, and they were asking why I'm not listed, because they are not yet a member, a project member, and they didn't opt in by creating an account in Salsa and then doing the login to the website and claiming their username. Gaps of inactivity is another feature that I just mentioned, that we don't care, like if you did a contribution every day in July and every day in August. We just say you did a contribution for the wiki page, let's say in July, and your last contribution was in August, and that's all. We don't need to go further than that, and we don't need to. I'll talk about that later. Handling identities, as I mentioned as well, we can do that by associating identities to your person in the system. You can also hide contributions, a specific type of contributions. I'm going to show this because I knew that this feature existed, but I didn't know how to do that. I had to ask Enrico, and then we have to select a data source, and then there'll be a magic menu here that you can user settings, and then you can hide your contributions to bugs.debian.org, just this one, but keep your contributions to the mailing list or to your packages, for instance. Or you can also hide all your contributions. Like if you don't want to be thanked, you can just say, I don't want to be in that list. So you just go there and you can hide. In the NM BoF, they gave maybe a good example for doing. No, it's a bad example actually. If you are applying to the NM and you don't answer your questions, and then the applicant manager, they see that you are doing a lot of activity in Debian. They say, oh, why they are not asking my question if at the same time they are doing a lot of stuff in Debian. So that's a bad example. But there should be good reasons for you not to be listed in a specific contribution.
Well, I think this should be better known to the rest of us developers, not because I want to hide myself or anything, but in different cases, as a conference organizer or as a queuing maintainer or in various roles, we check on what people have been doing, when they were active last time. And for me, one of the sources of data for this is contributors. I was unaware that people could be hiding their information, and this may cause somebody not to get funding to attend a conference or, well, whatever, in many different aspects.
Exactly.
So we should know this better, and, well, people should also know how to... Oh, thanks.
So that's a very good point. And another example that I think was Enrico who mentioned in a talk in the past was if you can also hide all your contributions from a specific identity. For instance, if you had contributed using your work, the email from your job for the games team during your working time, you might want to hide it. I'm getting this from Enrico from a talk he gave. So anyway, but as Gunnar said, I would say it's a good practice to keep your contributions to the list.
Yeah, just add +1 to Gunnar's. The MIA team is also heavily relying on that information, and it would make our lives harder if that information is hidden. So I'm not sure if there's maybe a possibility or how it is done if the recording stops or if it's just hidden. So it might be that some core teams might need to access that information.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Just regarding contributors being used for conferences, at least for DebConf, it's stated that if whatever appears in contributors is not enough, or you think it doesn't represent well your contributions, please be verbose or mention here. So whoever also is using contributors should, I think, be aware that maybe people, by choice, decide not to show. So we should also give people opportunity to state their contributions in a non-public way.
Right. I agree with that. The issue is that maybe it should be clearer to the rest of the developers that are consuming this data that people may be hiding information. It's completely important that people have the right to hide their information, but we have to be made aware of that because we use it for several things.
Would it make sense for some of this data to, instead of being hidden to all, only being hidden from the public and being available to privileged members, people who would have been logged into contributors for that purpose?
Yeah, I just added this here. You can yeah, if you have an idea or not, you can do that as well. But I just added that. I think it's a good point.
Just one, I'm sure it will come up maybe later, and don't remember if it was in the list. then it's not. In the end, did anybody give an authoritative answer to the GDPR problem in this?
I didn't understand your question.
If anybody claimed authority, that this is fine from a GDPR perspective. I'm been told that it actually helps compliance because it lists where the data is, maybe. And that's it, or is there actually a problem? Would there be a problem, for example, if they hid contributions and then we access it from the backend ourselves?
Right. But
Okay.
at least Mexican laws may require you to delete all records of a given person's actions.
They might explicitly say that they authorize, say, specific Debian teams to access their data.
Right. So it might be a problem if they hid them and then we, MIA team, want to access the data. We actually
I
could
think it
not,
should
probably.
they should agree with that. Talking about missing action, did you say? Okay.
So at least in Germany, there is the term of berechtigtes Interesse, so justified interest in the data, and this is, I'm not a lawyer or something like that, but this is some exception where we are allowed to use personal data, and there is actually no way to opt out for that because we have the interest in using that data.
Okay.
But I'm not a lawyer.
Okay. Can we move on? For the next little talk here, for the missing action team, we have a hidden URL. I think it's not linked anywhere, but you can, which is not so precise. I would say, for instance, I know Sergio. He's giving talks here, and he's impressively active in Debian, but he didn't associate his identities yet. I talked to him about 1 year ago, and he said, "Okay, I'll check that." Because exactly, I don't want to do it without his consent, but I'm about to do it because I know he's not missing action.
Just an information, we do not actively look for persons which are MIA. We only act on persons which are reported to us as MIA.
Absolutely.
But the contributors is an information where we can verify if that contributor is actually MIA or not. And it's difficult already now. So, for example, if you have some some action listed on a BTS, it says just until action, but you still need to find that bug because if someone else is tagging that bug, this counts, or it used to count as activity for that person. So.
Okay. Good. Yeah. So. This should be a secret URL. Actually, I didn't. I shouldn't.
No, and really, that this is not very. This data is really not precise and not useful. I mean, I know at least 2 out of 12 are a mistake to have there. Yeah, identities. I understand. Yeah, 3 out of 12 at least. Okay, so I think it could be better to kill this page that is not used and if somebody finds it, can give a wrong impression.
We could just this is not a list of people missing in action, but people possibly, maybe, whatever, either needs to associate their identifiers or they are really missing action. We could improve the text only.
I like to comment on this the problem that it's hard to identify people because when I'm doing this team matrix, I also need some matching of names, and so it's not very easy to do this. Even we have this one table in UDD which is trying to do this based on the key, but it's not working all the time. So I have some additional table I create for the team matrix database. More or less manually adding those who I realize if it would help, I can somehow deliver this table, which might get some people out of this list because you are matching something what should be matched. It's always manual work and it is not reliable, but might be help a little bit.
Sure.
Yeah. Just wanted to clarify that this missing in action page was a work in progress / experiment when me and Enrico were working in integrating bits of the MIA process into other websites. So yeah, it's not linked anywhere. It's only for internal purposes. It has been broken for years and nobody noticed because I mean it's internal. So nobody should be worried to be listed in this list.
Andreas was talking about teams. I think one thing which is really hard, and also from an MIA perspective, is to see who is actually a member of a certain team. We actually do not have that information, and if you have packages which our team maintained, you hardly know if that team is still existing or active, and there are also a few packages which only have the team listed on that, and that makes it horrible to act on from an MIA perspective.
And we have people who were in a team but left the team intentionally, and you can't get all these cases, right? So it's really complex because of different writing names, different times people were belonging to a team and they do not want to belong to a team anymore, and this is really hard.
Yeah, and we have no systematic way to record team members.
No, we don't have.
Okay. Can you go through creating a data source? So a data source in the contributors website is it's a register that specifies which data is coming from which team to feed the system. That's a very important thing. And it was made in a way that it's really, really simple for the teams themselves to maintain their data source. This is very important. If you agree, you could just navigate a little bit on the wiki page and the website, and you can show in 5 minutes more or less how to create a data source if it's new for people here. Okay. If you work in a team in Debian, first, and you want to thank the members of your team in the Debian Contributors web page. So the members of your team will be listed as contributors. If you want the members of your team to at some point apply to the new member process, or to be able to ask for a sponsorship for a conference or for a local sprint, or maybe for a piece of hardware to do some Debian work, and it's really nice to have them listed in contributors.debian.org. You go to data source and you check if your team is already there, and if it's not, you can just log in with your SAUS account and create a data source. And you give a name, a description, URL, just to have some information about your team, some implementation notes, usually the authentication token, and some implementation notes. Usually it's what we write here is, okay, this is a data mining made in Python. It's hosted in SAUSA at this repository, and it's running a cron job in that machine. And if you have any questions or if it's broken, please contact this person to fix it. Something like this. And you save, and then you're going to have a data source in the system that you can use to send your data. You have Enrico, he, together with the website, he code tool that's called, the package name is Python Debian Contributor, Python 3 Debian Contributors. It's a Python module so that you can use that for your Python script to do your data mining and send to the system, or you can use a tool that comes with the module, which is called DC tool, which is very well documented. I'm not going into details here because the README file of this tool is very nicely written. And then you're going to configure a simple file with the information you want to have related to how you're going to do your data mining. In this tool, it works already for a few, not a few, how can I say, it's not a team. Sorry?
Methods of mining?
Yeah, you could call that. So the BTS files, Git dirs, Git logs, mail from Postgres. That means that if you have a system, for instance, in your local community which runs Postgres as a database, and you have in an organized way the volunteers of your conference, local conference, etc., you can use DC tool to grab the information from your database and send it to Debian contributors daily or whatever you think it's appropriate. If you have something like which is not listed here, for instance, you want to have the contributions, the name of people who voted, Debian members who voted each year for the DPL, for the GR, for the GRs. So for that case, we had to code. Tássia did that actually. She codes a small Python script which is going to get information from the Voti server, and we'll generate a JSON file, very simple one, and push it to contributors' website. In the contributors wiki page, we have a nice documentation about how to create a new data source. It's really easy. And the information you have to send, it's basically the type of contribution that you had created already on the website beforehand, and the ID of the person who did the contribution. And you don't even need to give date of begin and end if you don't have it. If you just have, if your team just records that the members, the active members, you can just send the active members, and the system will take care of the. If there is a contribution in the past in the system will consider that date. If it's new, it's going to consider the date you send the data. But better if you have the begin and the end, then the website will process in a way that will be listed at the beginning and the end of the contribution for that team. And posting the submission, as I said, you can use the DC tool if your data is one of the data that is supported by the DC tool. Or you can use just CRL to send, or any other tool to send your post with the authentication token in your JSON file. That's that simple. It's really made for people, for teams to take care of their own data source. That's all I had to share about creating a data source, because talking with people after the talk, I see that many people are interested on having a data source for the contributors, so I just wanted to show how easy it is here in the BoF. If you have any comment.
Yeah, maybe go on the Salsa DC sources repository and show one of the configuration files.
Yeah.
So that people have.
Okay, so we have Tássia, she nicely decided to adopt abandoned or broken data source from team that she doesn't work on just because she's a nice person. So she created this repository which is now in the Debian namespace here, so anyone can commit in Debian developer. And we have a few data sources here which are being processed and sending the contributors' data to the website using a virtual machine that we asked from the Debian.net team. So, for instance, we have the votes, as I said. For the votes data source, we just have a Python code here that takes for every year. You're going to take the I don't know why you put the specific dates here.
Because it was, well, I grabbed that from the website, not from the server, and the format changed from year to year, so I had to parse differently.
For you, okay.
Yeah.
So in the end, she generates a JSON file, and she's just going to use a tool to do the post to the website.
Yeah, maybe show one of the Git.
Yeah. Using the DC tool, you mean? Okay. For the Debian.net. No?
This to track. Oh, yeah, any of these CFG files.
Okay, per?
www. Go www.
Okay. This is
simple.
Easy. Yeah. So this, instead of coding by ourselves the code to do the data mining, sending by hand to the website, use the DC tool with a config file. You just need to have the Git repository locally and use the method git logs, and it's going to send to the source debian.org the type of contribution commit, and this is the URL of the email of the person, the contributor's email. So it's that easy. Again, it's really easy, and every team in Debian should be doing that.
Yeah, just for that to work, just make sure that you have already created the source, the names match, the type of the source will match with whatever is in the config file, and if you want, the URL is if you want to link more information on each contribution, but it's not necessary.
Okay. And yes, and that's important because you always have a data source, and then you can have different kinds of types of contribution for the same team. So, for instance, Debian.net team, we have 3 repositories, so we're going to list the contributions to documentation, infrastructure, and requests. And this you have to have these 3 Git repositories locally, and call the DC tool for each one, and send to the right. The name should match. The name should match the contribution .net, and then the name of the type of contribution, request, infrastructure, or documentation.
And so the other piece of information is the cron job, or whatever scheduler you use, needs to, of course, update the repository and run so you have the repository locally, because it goes over the Git logs that should be in a local Git repository. The cron job just needs to pull the repository, well, in that case, of a Git, and then run the tool.
Okay, you have 5 minutes left. Let's go through the ideas, and I'd like you to be free to comment and one thing, just if you see, there are some teams in Debian that has multiple relevant repositories, so that's a problem actually. how do we check the contributors from, like we would have to list all the repositories. The per team would be just impossible. So I'd like to, if you have time to address that in some way.
Is this something that could be done with a webhook? Like getting, when people push into the repository, getting crumbs of data that you aggregate and then make available in contributors Debian.org? Would that make sense?
I think so. Why not?
I guess the main issue is that it becomes stateful, so that you need to keep the database of crumbs of activity. But
Yes.
What is the best solution if I want to add speakers from a past DebConf? I mean DebConf.
If the speakers come from the wafer system, you can talk to wafer people and see if they give you access to their database, or I don't know if they have a public API for that. But it should be the way. For the old DebConf, you have to look from very old people and see if they are still there, alive, and should provide.
Created as a
but
file with the speakers.
It'd be really great to have it, like volunteers, speakers, and yeah.
Great, thanks.
Question, would it be possible to inject data manually, like a human created data, like a... Yes, I think it's correlated to it, to have a kind of data curation. Yes.
Yeah, manually, like, I don't know what level, like with your own hands, but I suppose they're talking about using the JSON file and send using a tool. Yeah, that's one method.
Just a comment on the previous conference speaker question. I'm afraid the API that's provided by Wafer is a schedule XML file that's compatible with the old pentabar format.
Wow.
But it means that we have the data for all the old DebConf as well. And so once you have a parser for this XML format, you should be able to put everything into contributors Debian.org.
Yeah, I think that will not be very hard to implement. The only thing is we will have to, in some way, link the various ways the name of people have been used. But that's what we are already doing. So it shouldn't be too hard to do. We just need to do it.
Yeah, for DebConf contributions, it's a very, very rich variety of contributions. There are contributions that are totally invisible when the years pass, and we're not doing reports. So again, I emphasize how good it was to have reports, and we are not doing final reports.
Yes.
And so we are losing that information year and after year. So committee, please, maybe you have.
I agree. I mean, I was against the idea of dropping the reports, but we dropped them because they were a pain to produce. And, they seldom arrived on time. We often overrun a conference to get the previous years, and it's, not motivating for many people. But yeah, I agree that the very least we should do is to, after a conference, set a page for the previous conference, thanking, all of the local people, at least, and, naming the volunteers that had at least a trackable role. That's something we can do, that we are in time to do, and I guess it's very important. We could even try to do it retroactively a couple of years.
I have recruited a volunteer for that,
Great.
Macy. She
Great.
has agreed to join the effort, and we could go, we could start this year and then do India. We still remember who were the local people, and then go as far as we can. It won't be perfect, but it's better than nothing.
It's better than not having it.
Yeah.
Now, I must finish this session. I'm very sorry, but it's my task to keep you running according to the clock.
Thank you, Gunnar.
So thank you very much. It was very interesting discussion.